And just say your names and ages.
I'm Lisa, I'm 22.
I'm Erin, I'm 21.
I'm Rachel, I'm 22.
I'm Zia, 21.
I'm Jeff and I'm 24.
Chris, I'm 26.
Mike and I'm 25.
There you go. Cool. So, as the second highest trading commodity in the world, coffee has become a household staple. Coffee has become, what you go to. You ask them out for a cup of coffee. You get a cup of coffee. It's a late night cup of coffee. But as a culture, we've been growing more to really appreciate the artistry and really appreciate the origins of what coffee really is. We've really started to look into the growing and the procedures, what methods are used here versus there, the flavors that you really get out of a bean. And just diving deeper into that, you start to look beyond, the cup of coffee that you have into where that comes from. It starts in the growing, obviously. The coffee seed is planted in a region that you decide based off of the elevation, the irrigation, based off of other environmental factors. So elevation, you kind of want to pick a spot that's higher in elevation so that the pressure and the temperatures as well are a little bit more stressful for the plant. Having that stress on the plant really helps develop stronger flavors, just because the plant takes so much longer to develop. Along with that, the irrigation, you want to make sure that it's somewhere with natural irrigation year-round. The plants and the product are more highly sought after if it's naturally irrigated, if it's entirely organic, solely off of Mother Nature and the sky. But that's a choice, and you don't have to grow your plants there. Most often, that's where we go for, just to really get that quality and the profile there. After that, once your plants are grown, they're ripe for picking, we harvest them. And we choose to go for the red coffee cherries that bloom. That is the highest quality that you're going to get. And there are different ways of picking. You can pick, by machine, just get all the beans, all the cherries, no matter what. Or you can do individual picking, in which case you would be going for only the ripest, and that's where you really begin to get premium coffee. So from there, you get your beans, and it's time to really process them. There are different methods of processing. Wet processing is the most popular, in which you peel the skin off of the coffee cherry, and then you take that pulpy inside, and you let that soak in water until that pulp is basically falling off of the cherries or the beans, and then you filter that out, and you end up with a little coffee bean, what we're used to. The other method would be dry processing or natural processing, in which you just take the whole cherry and just leave it in the sun, spread out, and let nature take its course. That method produces a more full-bodied coffee bean with stronger, fruitier flavor profiles to it. In contrast with the washed process, which tends to create a more muted, consistent coffee profiles with like a higher acidity to them. The wash is way more common just because it's so consistent and you can use it for anything. But after that, any of the processes that you use to process the bean, you're going to enter it into the dry milling process, which is basically just drying the beans out. Even once they're processed, they still tend to have little layers of parchment stuck to them, and that's what we use. We get rid of that and just take the bean itself. And that bean gets stored based off of the size, based off the quality and the density of the bean. It's stored away, airtight, cool temperature, consistent, so we can basically just get rid of the grassy taste and the seedy taste, being that it isn't seed. And after that, maybe like 3 months, a year goes by, and those beans are ready for roasting. And the roasting process we've all heard about, like the dark roast and the blonde roast and all that stuff. And that is where you really start to get a second level of creativity into those beans. So beyond where you process them and where you plant them, now you get to choose how you want to roast this bean for the optimal flavor. So roasting it longer, maybe you'll taste the smokier, more of the cocos and the caramel flavors coming out. And some lighter roasts, maybe you'll taste the acidity, maybe you'll taste some honey. It just depends on trial and error and whatever you want to achieve. But yeah, that's kind of the extent of it, kind of bottled up. But now you kind of have more of a understanding of where that coffee comes from. Next time you take a sip.